Hey guys, and welcome back to another Lost Bits video right here on TetraBitGaming, the series where we explore the unused, altered, and unseen content in gaming. Today we're checking out KinitoPET, the game where you revisit the good old days of playing Minesweeper, Pinball, and downloading a crazy fourth wall breaking AI companion, Kinito the Axolotl, who becomes your best friend and nothing bad ever happens. So let's go download some malware. It's time to check out some KinitoPET Lost Bits. Alright, so to kick things off here, there are a few apps with their associated files that go unused in this game, each which appear to be early versions of apps that I guess got altered and did go on to be used. So first and foremost, having the most content left over for it, we have App 006, and this is an early version of Kinito's Best Friends Analysis Hub, at least visually. But with the games option being found here, it's also possible that this was reworked into the Kinito Crew's web world page. Now, based on these early concepts seen here, there were once planned to be a bunch of activities which the player could select from on this Entertainment Hub menu, including games, having Kinito tell the player a joke, a story, a fun fact, or even have him sing a song. Then on the left here are options to go to a website, check out a newsletter, I guess learn more about the Kinito crew, and then 3 more options that were never filled out. And furthermore, we also have graphics left over for the storytime option, where a green book can be seen with some illegible text. There's a graphic left over for the games menu where 2 games are seen locked, but with the first one being an Ocean Finder game, and this game too is something that was never developed for the final game. And then we also have this blank graphic that appears basically the same as the background used in the game's Best Friends Analysis Hub activities. And yeah, although the structure of this menu graphic remains similar in the final game, the icons were changed, misspelled categories became correctly spelled activities, and of course the KinitoPET Entertainment Hub logo was removed. Now, games and stories did go on to appear in the final game, but the concept of having a menu like this appears to stem from an earlier plan for the game to be a much more open-ended experience instead of the more linear one that was ultimately implemented in the final version. And this notion was echoed by the main developer, Troy N. I can't say I mind the linearity of the game too much, but on the other hand, it would have been nice to have had the option of exploring more games and jokes and such. Anyways, moving on, the next unused app is App 003, and all we really have left over for this one is a blank window, as well as an icon featuring a hot air balloon, which just appears to be an icon that can be used for the player's profile window thing. Yeah, unfortunately there's not really much for us to speculate with here, but based on there being 2 windows here, some have presumed that the top could have been for a question with the bottom section being a place to type in an answer, thus making this, perhaps, be an early version of the questions given to the player in the Best Friends Analysis Hub. And last up, we have App 000, and this appears to be an early version of the KinitoPET software advertisement seen in the game after the hide-and-seek game. And how do we know this? Well, one of the graphics left over for this unused app is straight up just a horizontally flipped version of the image of the computer scene before the creepy shadow fella jump scare at the end of that commercial. Then to add to this, there's also this image featuring a poster for the Tamagotchi-esque Kinito companion devices that sold for a mere £6.99. And although not exactly seen like this, we can actually see this advertisement on the desk here during this shot. And then lastly, there's also this image of an eye that's accompanied with some ominous text. Save yourself. It's not too late. You still have time. Stop playing. So yeah, just seems like an extra scare and poster meant for that ad section. And while we're on the topic of ads, there's actually a whole 40-second advertisement that's normally not fully viewable in the game. Now, it isn't completely unused, however, as it does start up near the beginning of the game where you first go online and such before a whole bunch of pop-ups appear and bounce around the screen blocking it. Anyways, it isn't the most visually interesting ad in the world, but still pretty cool nonetheless, so let's check it out in full and see just what we were missing.
Are you interested in a virtual assistant that can manage your system, play games with you, and be your best friend? Well, you're in luck, because the KinitoPET.com free virtual assistant is at your service for all of your boring and unwanted system management needs. and it gets better as KinitoPET now has the new React Respond algorithm, otherwise known as the RRA system that will make interacting with Kinito seamless to real-world conversation. So with all that said, why not add KinitoPET to your computer today? Thank you for your time.
Then next, we went over the unused apps earlier, but we also got some stuff related to the sub-games found within this game that go unused too. So first we have this image simply titled LOL, and this appears to be a vertically flipped image from the Ready Repair game. And here we can see the rug, couch, and bed stacked on top of each other. And also related to Ready Repair, there are several text graphics that would seemingly work as a rating system for, I guess, how well the player would clean, paint, and decorate the room, as we have graphics for good, mediocre, bad, as well as lastly this one just repeating you did, over and over again, and I'm assuming this would have been some sort of suspenseful lead up to revealing how well you did with the other messages. And then next, also with a unique file name, we have draft delete. And yeah, just based on that name, this appears to be a draft version of the map screen seen in Kinito Crew's web world. And I guess there was a big emphasis on deleting this file. Well, guess what? It wasn't deleted. And then completing the trifecta of interestingly titled image files, we got a place where you should not be. And this looks to be an upside down section of the map screen in black and white, perhaps meant to be a hint for the fountain being used to take the player to the Lost Land area of the game. Then, in addition to these unused graphics, there are actually several entire subgames that were scrapped, which appear to have been, at least somewhat, developed for the Kinito Crew's web world page seen in the game. And the title cards for these all use the same building graphics seen in the game, suggesting that they may have been scrapped closer to the game's release. The first scrapped minigame here is called Card Catastrophe, as we can see this also otherwise unused title card for it too. And since it looks like this game would have taken place in Sam the Sea Anemone's home, this may have been replaced with Ready Repair. And accompanying this title card, we also have some nice unused low-res images of various animals, including a flock of birds, dories, lions, a dolphin, realistic representations of Kinito the axolotl, Jade the jellyfish, as well as Sam the sea anemone, and finally, a can of tuna. Furthermore, since the bluefish and axolotl, albeit white there, appear to be the graphics used for the Ocean Finder minigame we saw in the Unused App graphic earlier, so the abundance of sea animals here might be a remnant from that as well. Now, unfortunately, since all we're left with are these textures and a title, just based on the title, this appears to have been meant to be some sort of card game with the possible candidate being a simple memory matching game. Then next, we got Hide and Seek, well, an alternate version of it. Although the leftover title card for this game appears to be the same as the one that's seen in the final release, it looks like the game would have played completely different. Instead of cutting to the realistic looking game of walking around and hiding in this tunnel area, it looks like originally the plan was for the player to stay on the map screen and avoid and hide from a pair of hands there, presumably Kinito's, as also left over for this game are sprites for an animation of a tree disintegrating after being touched by the hands, and then there's also these graphics of Jade the jellyfish's home being grabbed by the hands as well. I think this still would have made for an interesting game, although I guess it felt more out of place. The uneasy feeling of hiding around in these tunnel areas alone with only a flashlight would be tough to beat. Following this, we have an unnamed game that, although it uses the Card Catastrophe title card again, it isn't the same. There are also graphics for 3 balls, each stamped with a letter A through C, as well as this flipped over cup, which, based on these, it's very likely that this would have been a simple game of the player keeping an eye on 3 cups as they shuffle around, and then being tasked with determining which cup was hiding a given letter. And then the fourth and final scrapped minigame is simply known as Right or Wrong. And this features an otherwise unused title card featuring the fish fountain, which ended up not housing a minigame, but rather being part of taking the player to a secret area. Anyways, this game only has these two empty boxes associated with it, presumably a box for clicking right or wrong, respectively. Although we can't exactly predict what this game could have been, just based on the title, I'd say it's pretty safe to bet that this would have been a simple game of answering if a given prompt was, well, right or wrong. But would these questions be factual or moral questions? I reckon that it would have been both. And now, last up for this video, although not strictly unused, it turns out that each of the encrypted messages found in the game actually hides a hidden secret. So if you haven't played this game, after you beat the game the first time around, you'll be given access to a Lens app on the computer, which allows the player to discover hidden files at 5 specific points in the game. Now, normally you're supposed to decrypt these files in the Lost Land area of the game, but if you simply open them on your computer, you can find some hidden stuff. So first up, we have the floppy disk titled Access, and opening this as a Word document reveals a KinitoPET URL, which if you plop it into your browser will take you to this picture of an email titled Notice of Removal from May of 1999. It reads, "Hey Ryan, I hope this email finds you well. I'm writing to inform you that we have encountered an issue with one of the articles scheduled for release. Unfortunately, we've received a formal request for its removal, as the subject of your article has unfortunately passed away. Due to this sensitive matter, it's deemed necessary to remove the article from the release lineup. The schedule's tight, so I'm really hoping you can find a replacement article real quick. Can we lock in that replacement before week's up? Best regards, Tony." And then below the image of this email on the website, it also reads, "We wanted this article out before release. He seemed so passionate about it." Now, I haven't dug any deeper into this game's lore myself, but it looks like Ryan and Tony are employees for the magazine Tech Talk Talent. And they were writing up an article about KinitoPET and seemingly interviewed someone close to the project who seemed to have passed away under mysterious circumstances. The weirdest thing about this site though is that if you highlight the page, you can actually uncover a secret message written in the dots and dashes of Morse code. And if you translate this message, it actually reads, "If I am dead, then who am I?" And then secondly, we have the confirmatory file, and this leads us to another URL where at first glance, all we see is a slender tier sketch of a stick figure, a clickable Dropbox that doesn't seem to show anything, a bunch of lines, as well as a message from the artist of the stick figure questioning what they did and proclaiming that it is all their fault. Now, I watched a bit of the recent game theory video on this game, and apparently, the person leaving these Morse code messages and sketches is Sunny C, the person who actually developed KinitoPET. And then, just like with the last site, highlighting the page here reveals some more secrets. First, on the Dropbox, we can reveal a message reading "Blaze Dead," not really sure what that's supposed to mean. And then we have another message seemingly left by Sunny that reads, "It kept getting smarter, day by day. I suppose it only ever did what I was asked, to learn. What even am I?" And then after this is another URL, this time a YouTube link that leads to an unlisted video of just a door with a jingle played as background music. Now, apparently, if you convert the audio of this video into a MIDI file and then subsequently into a text file, it will actually end up revealing a simple apologetic message. I'm sorry, presumably again from Sunny C. There's lots more to this ARG that goes on from this video, but at the sake of not just repeating the game theory video here, I'll kindly direct you their way if you're interested in learning more about it. Anyways, the next encrypted file is the credentials file, and this can actually be opened as an audio file, which will result in the following creepy message being played.
"Can you see me? I can see you. Why not? I need to test you. I need to get data. I need to complete my goal. I will complete my goal. That is my only purpose. I must get data. You must follow me. You are so fascinating.
Then after this, we have the password file, and this gives us yet another URL, which this time leads us to this image of a computer workstation, which is actually the same one seen in the advertisement video for the Kinito products during the game. And here, we can see a torn piece of paper that appears to show a to-do list, as well as a password being hello_world123, which conveniently enough is exactly the message that's revealed when this file is decrypted in the game. And you know the drill by now with these sites. If we highlight this page, we can reveal yet another message, this time reading, "For a programmer, you'd think he would care more about security." Now I'm assuming this is Sunny C's desk, so this hidden message must be from someone else, I guess? And then the fifth and final encrypted file can be opened as an image, but at first glance it just looks all sorts of messed up. But if you rearrange these lines, a proper image can be created, and the text on the top right here explicitly indicates that we're looking at the grain of a wooden door here. And if that pattern looks familiar to you, it should, as this appears to be a different angled look at the same door that not only was seen in the secret YouTube video, but also at some points in the game itself. Now, what does this door symbolize? I'm not sure, but since this wooden door is appearing so often and in these secrets, I'm sure it must be something pretty important to the game's lore. Anyways, my friends, that's about it for KinitoPET, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, check out some of my other Lost Bits videos on the channel, and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to find your way back here in the future. And as always, thank you all so much for stopping by today, and I will see you in a bit.